Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode. Gosh, I just cannot wake up today. Um, okay, I have a question to the scientists, for the scientists out there. I'm watching this show on, it's a disaster show, but it's dealing with asteroids. What if, actually, it's not really dealing so much with what if, what might happen if an asteroid struck Earth,
Okay.
but rather it's dealing with the various asteroids that have been spotted, and uh, well, we thought this asteroid in 20 years might hit the Earth, but then after more research, we found that it was never going to hit Earth, and that kind of stuff. It's not actually dealing with what would happen to the Earth if we were to be struck by a massive. We get struck by things all the time, but what would happen if we got hit by a massive
We'd be in trouble.
asteroid? Yeah, exactly. Now, my question, actually, there's not a single question, there are multiple questions. Okay, let's say an asteroid were to hit, and let's say, would it make a difference? Would the composition of the asteroid make a difference in what would happen? Let's say there was an asteroid made out of it was mostly metal, mostly metallic. It was in a very strong metal. What if, yeah, and what if you had an asteroid that was made out of that was predominantly made out of more of a soft metal? What if you had an asteroid made out of a certain type of rock? I mean, would these things? I mean, I can see how, like, an asteroid made out of rock might just disintegrate as it came into the Earth's atmosphere. I don't know if metal would do that. I mean, I don't know how hot they actually get, and I guess it would depend on the kind of metal, because they do get hot and they burn up, things burn up, but as it's coming in, if it's made out of metal, will it just melt? And then would there be nothing? Would whatever fumes, or I don't know how you say, the fumes, the gases that would be produced from it, from the metal melting, would that affect the Earth, even if the asteroid in the end turned out to be a golf ball size thing that would hit the Earth, or maybe nothing would hit? But would the gases or the fumes that were produced have an effect on the planet? Um, what about if an asteroid hit at a particular time of year? Let's say, uh, let's, let's go further north than where we happen to live. Let's say in Russia, or
Russia seems to get them bad.
yeah, Russia or northern Canada in the middle of winter. If it were to hit when there is just, yards of ice and snow on the ground, would that have an effect I mean, would that have an effect on what might happen? As opposed to, let's say, it were to hit where we live, or let's say it were to hit Texas, because Texas is a big area.
Mexico.
Yeah, or Mexico. I mean, someplace that's drier, hotter, flatter. Would the effect be different if it hit there? What if it hit in the ocean?
Lucky get out of things.
Let's say
Or a tsunami then.
yeah, that's a good possibility, I would think. Is my wife correct on that? I mean, she brought it up. I'm like, no, you know what?
Lucky.
That's good. I would think it would be a good possibility.
Or a typhoon.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there you go. What kind of storms would be produced? What type of ash would be, and I would think if it was large enough, it wouldn't just be ash in the atmosphere, but dirt that would be kicked up, and maybe gases. And um, I don't know the answer to these things. That's why I'm asking the questions. Um, what if there was an asteroid, and somehow we humans were able to send a missile or a rocket or something and hit it, and it didn't deflect it, it didn't completely destroy it.
Large nuclear device.
Yeah, but what it did was broke it up into like thousands or millions of smaller.
So we just had lots of smaller things hitting, maybe burning up.
Yeah, I mean, would it burn up?
Small enough.
Would they burn up, or would it be like a shotgun shell? You know, and I mean, what would the effects be? I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's why I'm asking these questions. Yeah, I took science in school, but I don't remember this being an issue that was ever talked about. Not in any depth, anyway. I mean, it may have been, well, this is a possibility, but, you know, that it never really went beyond that.
Never really addressed that. Ow.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, what if, let's say an asteroid didn't actually hit Earth? I don't know if this is even possible. It's just, you know, an idea. It came. Let's see if I can. Here's a. These are ovals, not circles, but let's say this one right here, this oval right here, is the Earth is in the middle, and this is the atmosphere. And what if an asteroid were to come in like this and go right back out? It never actually hit the Earth. I mean, there might be some debris that would hit the Earth, but what if the asteroid, let's say it was a huge one, you know, the type of asteroid that I'm talking about here, and it never actually hits the Earth, it just comes into the atmosphere, and yeah, and then goes out again. Would there be an effect? I'm not talking about, okay, there are going to be some rocks that hit the Earth, you know, pea-size or baseball-sized rocks. I'm not talking about those things.
What about that rock that hit northern Russia and knocked down all the trees and stuff?
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah. So it comes in. It just comes into the atmosphere. Just you know, I mean, it's clearly in the Earth's atmosphere, but it's way out there. It's still way out there, and it just goes right back out. Would that have an effect on us? And again, what about the composition of the asteroid itself? What about the speed that it's going? What about the angle that it would come into the atmosphere? What about if the angle changed once it came into the atmosphere, the angle changes before it hits the Earth? Would that have an effect? Would the speed have an effect? You know, if it was going really, really fast or really, really slow or somewhere in between. I know I'm asking a lot of questions, and these may very well be very easy to answer, but it's not something. I'm not sitting here going, oh no, we're going to be hit by an asteroid. I'm not, you know, if that happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's not what I'm talking about. My questions concern, well, what if this happened? What if that happened? What if something else were to happen? You know, how would these things possibly affect us? I would think we really don't know how they would affect us. We can only surmise because unless it happens, how do you really know? But then again, you know, the scientists might say, well, if this happens, this is going to be the effect, and that may very well be exactly what happens. But then there's also the possibility that, oh, well, we didn't think of this or we didn't think of that. You know, it's, you know, after the fact, it's like, oh, well, you know, here are some things we just didn't think about. But,
What is the asteroid proposed though is going to have an effect too.
you know, like, you know, so if anybody out there, any scientist out there can answer my questions, I would really appreciate it.